Probably.
That's
but
what I mean. It's suddenly dark.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
Because even the kids are all like, Wim getting the lightsaber, I loved. I loved that it was him messing up.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean that in like an awful way, but like it shows that he was trying to be brave, but it also just shows that he is a kid. Like he is just a kid at the end of the day. Like he's trying to big up and be brave and all of that stuff, but ultimately he is a child and he does not know what he's doing. And I think this was the point where he was like, crap. Okay.
Yeah. Just the countdown. It's a lot of fun. But friends, we are here for another one of these Skeleton Crew weekly discussion shows, and Megan has chosen to drink her water just as we press record, even though we've been faffing around with this for a while.
I feel a cough coming on.
Feel a cough coming. Yes, it's the two of us. Megan's my guest this week, and we are doing it. We're recording it on 28th of December. Hopefully I'll be releasing it the same day, maybe tomorrow. But it's the holiday season, hence why Megan is still wearing a Christmas sweater. We're in the holiday mode. I am wearing a gift I got, which is a High Republic top, Starlight Beacon from the High Republic. So happy about that. So yeah, merry holiday season, and I hope everyone had a great time and a good end to 2024 as well. I keep thinking it's the end of 2025, but we haven't started the year yet.
We just jumped forward a whole year.
Yeah, that'd be scary. But yes, we're talking about Skeleton Crew episode 5, which is You Have a Lot to Learn About Pirates. Now, the start of this episode does begin with a prologue about the pirates, about the parents. And Wendell, I think his name is Wim's dad's name, and so I quite like that idea because I like that I said in one of the previous episodes, which I know Megan has listened to, because she listens to all of my Star Wars podcasts.
Yes, every
single
one of them.
Just in case any listeners that don't know what I've said in the past, is I said that I would really like there to be a prologue at the start of each episode, and each prologue would show what the parents are up to and stuff. So I liked that part, but. Giving the mic to Megan, what have you thought, like before Skeleton Crew started, you weren't necessarily that excited, and now we're over halfway. How have you kind of felt about the show in general?
It's not that I wasn't looking forward to it. It's that, like, I'm never excited for new... It's not that I'm never excited for new Star Wars content to come out. Whenever the Marvel series comes out, whenever the Marvel series come out, and the Star Wars series and all of those things... I'm never that excited because they haven't really lived up to the expectation of what we want them to be. However, I am enjoying this series. This is probably one of my favorites out of all of the ones that we've watched. I just, it's just a nice, easy watch. It's fun.
Yeah, I think that this and Andor are the two that really exceeded expectations. But the other ones have either kind of met them or fallen a bit flat, I think.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. But you found that this show, like before we got to this episode, because we've watched this episode twice now, how did you feel, because episode 4 was over the halfway mark, how did you feel at that point in general about the show? Do you think the episodes have been good each week? Have you enjoyed the characters?
Yeah, I don't think there's been a bad episode. I've enjoyed them all, I think. I can't think of any episodes that I've thought, that was crap.
No, I think the 3rd episode might have been my least favourite, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying them. I like all of the episodes. I think they're fun.
Yeah. What is it? Is it you like? Do you like that it's not very serious? Like with kid actors, it's always a bit hard, isn't it? Like, what do you think about this group of kids?
My favourite is the elephant boy,
Neel.
Yeah, I like Neel. Yeah, no, they're fine. The kids are fine. Like, they're not annoying. The only annoying one is the main character. I say the main character, like the one that we knew first.
Yeah, Wim. Yeah.
He's annoying, but like that's his character. It's not the actor. It's like the actual character that is Wim.
Yeah, and it's understandable at that age because they're all like 12 or 13 or something. Yeah, if that actually, they might even be younger. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the kids really bring it home. And what have you thought about Jude Law before this episode? Because he was like, is he trustworthy? Is he not? Kind of know more about him.
Well, I feel like he's obviously going to help them out in the end. I feel like it was fairly obvious that there was going to be some sort of betrayal.
Yeah.
But then part of me also doesn't know if it's like a red herring, like not a red herring, but like kind of like a good double cross where he's kind of just getting them out of the way. I don't know if he's just getting them out of the way so that it can make it easier to get back to Atatin. But I don't know. I'm intrigued by his character. I'm enjoying his character, but like I'm intrigued by him. I want to know about all the like Force yieldy stuff. Like why is he able to do that?
Yeah, like what's his past? Like, I'm up for another Order 66 story. I love. Some people say they're sick of them, and to those people I say I strongly disagree with you. But I think that I love seeing Order 66 montages. We saw one in The Mandalorian Series 3 with Grogu. We've seen one in Bad Batch, which I won't mention because certain listeners won't know about that yet. And we've been doing Clone Wars conversations and stuff. I don't want to say too much about Bad Batch or anything like that. But then there's other ones in other sort of piece of Star Wars content, and Jedi Fallen Order is another one. Whenever we see them, I'm always really intrigued by how certain Jedi react to Order 66. So I'd like to see, is it him? Is it someone he knows?
In Rebels as well, isn't it?
In Order 66, I think they talk about it quite a lot. I don't think you get to see it. The Inquisitors talk about it, and there's like vague flashback 4C visions, I think, to it. But yeah, I that's what I want. I would personally like that, just to see, because I like characters again who are morally grey, who you can't always predict what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think they find, especially in Star Wars, it makes it for a lot more interesting, because it's like you don't have to make a character act out of character to betray the group. Whereas when you have betrayals, when it's a character who there's no hint of them ever betraying anyone, and it's like, oh, it's a big twist. It's like sometimes it feels like you've just written in a left turn that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I like that ambiguity, and that's kind of what the pirate life is all about. You know, that's kind of what the whole thing is all about, double crossing and stuff. And part of the kid's journey is learning to sort of who to trust and who not to trust.
Yeah.
So I like that part. But this episode, in general, how did you find it before delving into some of the specifics? Like episode 5, this one we've watched twice now.
What do you mean?
What do you think of the episode?
Well, in general?
Just in general, like, do you enjoy it? You think it's as good as the other ones?
Yeah, I like this episode.
Yeah?
The thing is that I'm not very good at remembering what happened in the previous episodes. I just know what I liked.
They have merged together quite a bit.
They have merged together. This one stands out because I've watched it twice. It's the only one that I've seen twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good episode. I think it's fun.
It's continuing the kind of vibes that you enjoy of Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
Because I like them. I love... It's like in Goonies and things like that. I know always the comparison to Goonies and stuff. But even like Indiana Jones and things like that, I really like going through temples and like seeing different like booby traps and stuff. I really, really enjoy... seeing those kind of things happening on screen, and have the creative ways of not only executing those on screen, especially when it's real effects, not always CGI, which I know on this one there were CGI effects and things, but like I really like the acid pool. That's just like a really cool thing that I'm not saying it's that.
It's also that touch unique. Of darkness, isn't there, after that? Cause
danger.
Like, well, no, not... yeah, danger, obviously, but also darkness in the sense that he literally asks 33 or 33 or Smee, whatever his name is, to fill the pool up with acid.
Oh yeah, when the pirates
and
are
there's pirates out there.
It's played off for laughs though, isn't it? All the pirates like screaming and running away.
I think some people obviously would have died.
Probably.
That's what I mean. It's suddenly dark.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
Because even the kids are all like,
Yeah. It is one of those. I really like it because I think Dan was saying when I had him on that with kids stuff, you don't have to make it really like kind of Disney-fied in a sense of like away from a lot of the not gruesome stuff, but like the way Bambi is, that's really dark. And there are parts of Pixar movies which have like parent deaths quite a lot, but like you can
most of them.
Yeah, but like aside from that, they don't really go into when a villain's bad, they're just like, mustache twirling villain who's just kind of like
British
and often quite silly. Whereas I think that what Dan was saying is a lot of the kids live action films in like the 80s and things like that and 90s, a lot of them really push the boundaries of what you could have in a kids film. And I think part of that's because it's before, some of them before a 12A existed. So it's like either a PG or it's a 15. It's R-rated. You know, that's why Ghostbusters is like a PG for that. They say loads of swear words.
Yeah.
And there's lots of very mature comments in there. Like things like that kind of can work in certain respects. That's maybe not the best example of having like a darker element and showing things without it, you know, traumatizing the kids. You know what I mean? That's what, like, that's the thing that Dan said that I did quite agree with.
Yeah.
Because you find that, like, with kids' films, like, can you remember any kids' films have you watched that are, like, traumatized you? Watership Down's one that a lot of people say about.
I did watch that as a kid, but I just don't really remember it standard.
I haven't seen it on DVD standard.
E.T. freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We're just thinking of movies that freaked me out
Well,
as a child.
I think like even Jurassic Park, like that's known as a family movie, and it's literally a horror film with dinosaurs. Like you watch people get proper like eaten in that film, and you're like, oh yeah, this is for kids. You're like, what? It's like even Star Wars, you know, the original. You got the scene where Aunt Owen, Aunt Peru and Uncle Owen are literally smouldering corpses crawling out of the house.
Yeah, that's pretty grim.
And you're like, this is like a U. Like I've said it as a joke before, but like the SpongeBob movie is a PG and A New Hope is a U. So they're saying that it's actually more okay for your kids to watch. They can watch Star Wars by themselves. But but with SpongeBob, you have to watch it with a parent.
Yeah, The Little Mermaid used to scare me.
Yeah.
The big scene where like Ursula becomes massive, which I was when we were at Disney World, we went on the Little Mermaid ride, and I was like, oh gosh, I was like, that scene's awful. Like that used to scare me as a kid. I was like, if I came in here as a kid, it would scare the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And then we went through it, and then they just don't do that scene.
No,
they just ignore it. It's gone. It's just not there. I was like, right, okay, that's the way to like not terrify the children is by just not including it whatsoever.
Yeah,
I think it was just like a picture as opposed to anything else.
And her shouting, "No!"
Yeah.
It's funny, but I think this show does a really good job. Like this is one of the first Star Wars things where I've thought, like, if we have kids and stuff, this would actually be a really, really good entry point. Like this is like no pressure Star Wars.
Age, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you've got like
you'd start with Young Jedi Adventures.
Yeah, but you'd see the problem is with shows like that is I would want to show them that, but it would depend on how young you show them and how close you could show them Rebels and Clone Wars, because then when they get to their teen years and they want to rebel, it's like, are they going to rebel against these kiddie shows in air quotes or? Like,
it doesn't matter because they're going to be Harry Potter fans, not Star Wars fans.
I mean, they can be both because I grew up as both. As I've said many times, the only films in the world I've seen maybe as many times as Star Wars are the Harry Potter films.
No, Harry Potter or nothing, that's it.
Harry Potter or to the orphanage to become Harry Potter. So, yeah, I think this would be a good starting point. And for families.
Luke Skywalker is also an orphan.
Well, no, technically not. You think he is in A New Hope, but he's not, is he? Because his dad's about till... Well, he is an orphan by the end of the trilogy, but he's not an orphan at the start.
I suppose.
Anyway, enter this. Spoiler. So I mentioned about the parents. What do you think about the parents? Do you like them? Their kind of storyline of trying to work out about the barrier mystery?
To be honest, I kind of forget that they're there. If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. You're not interested by the mystery of At-Atin from the...
I'm intrigued by the mystery of At-Atin. I find it weird that the kids don't know that it's like... So there's this, huh?
I don't think any of them really know.
Yeah, but the parents do.
I don't think they know the depths of why they're not communicating with the outside world that much. They're just like, oh, it's the barrier. You can't get through it. It's dangerous. And they're like, well, our kids have got through it. So is it really that dangerous to get through?
I guess so.
But I think ships almost crashed when they come in through the barrier. I think that's probably what it is. It's some sort of weird planetary defense system that got put up.
Yeah, no, I am intrigued to know more about the planet. The parents I'm not really that invested in.
You okay about good old Wendell?
No, because every time you say Wendell, I think Wenzel's.
Yeah, Wenzel's Pretzels.
Which is a...
it's a pretzel bakery
it's like
chain.
a bakery chain in the UK.
Yeah. You're not fussed by them?
No, I'm not fussed. Like, to be honest, they were in this episode for, what, like 5 minutes?
They're in each episode for a few minutes,
it's just, I'm not interested in the parents whatsoever.
I quite like them. I'm interested by that stuff. I'm just quite interested by the mystery of it.
I just, like, my only thing with it is, if it was a longer series, I think I'd be more intrigued. Because there'd be more time to develop, like, their side plot.
Yeah.
Whereas you said that there's only 2 more episodes after this.
Yeah. There's
so I'm kind of just like, well, what? Unless they're going to do a whole episode on the parents or like at least split it a bit more evenly, how is there going to become some sort of resolution? Unless the parents actually just don't do anything and the kids manage to get their way back regardless.
Yeah, maybe the thread of what At-Atin is going to be kind of a thing left to season 2 and be like...
Oh, are they doing a second series?
I don't know. And they haven't announced anything or confirmed anything.
Because that's the thing. It's like, if there's going to be a second season, then it makes more sense to me as to why there's only 2 episodes left. But if they're going to be like one and done, I'm also kind of just like, I'm not too sure. How are you going to cram everything in the last 2 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, there are rumours that the next episode is only going to be like 17 or 20 minutes long. There's like room. So it's... I don't know if
the last episode is like an hour and a half.
Because I think the last episode is about 50 minutes. But I saw it come up online in several different places when the show had just come out. And then I tried to find it again and I can't. But I can't find it in a Google search or like social media as much. So I don't know. It may just have been a wrong thing that they do come out. But we'll see what next episode brings with that length. But I feel like the next... If that episode is that short, it's going to really focus either on Jod or it's going to focus on the parents. I don't know. But I hope they're taking the approach to Skeleton Crew that kind of George Lucas took in the original Star Wars, which is this is just a one-off thing. Let's see how it goes. And then have some like ideas of kind of like, we could grow this if we wanted to, but there's no loose ends. Whereas Acolyte, I think, was a lot more like, here is a story, but we've actually put quite a lot of emphasis on what happens next, and now we haven't been able to do it. It feels incomplete, not unlike Firefly. And that's why I think the difference you have to kind of tread carefully with some of these shows. But yeah, so we go into this and we start off with on the Onyx Cinder ship, and we've got Captain Renaud, who is Smee's captain. It's SM-33, but I like calling him Smee, so, you know. So Tack Renaud. Now, there's a thing which is, I think it's Richard Donner is the director of Superman, and also I think the Goonies. I have to double check that. I might be the wrong director name. And so it's meant to be a callback to the director, Donner. Which I thought was fun, having this old school pirate thing. So, are you interested by the pirates, like Tack Renaud and where Smee came from, how long he's been around?
I am. I'm more intrigued by Smee and his history.
You like Smee?
I like him a lot.
Yeah,
He might be up there with one of my favourite droids.
Oh, is he? With whom?
Obviously R2.
And what, Chopper and...
Chopper is just a dick, though. I like Chopper, but he's just not. He's I mean, so's R2, really, but my favourite droids. I like that cute little one, the nervous one.
The cute from Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I think
with the little cone nose.
Yeah,
it's on a little wheel.
Yeah,
you really like him.
He's cute.
Dio.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you liked him so much.
Yeah, he's a cute boy.
Oh, when we get to watch Rise of Skywalker, then we'll be.
Oh yay! What joy!
I don't like the film, but I like that little droid.
Yeah. Well, it's like I don't like The Last Jedi, but I like porgs.
That is true.
I like
the porgs are also in the Rise of Skywalker. So.
Anyway, I'm not going through all of my favourite droids. I quite like this droid. I think he's funny.
Yeah. Okay, that's cute. I mean,
I am intrigued by the pirates, but then again, there's like so many side stories that you could go down and learn more about, because you've got his like kind of history. You've got the kids and trying to get back to Atatan, and then you've also got the parents trying to get them back.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, I agree. And just to clarify, Richard Donner did direct the Goonies and also the Superman films, as like the first two, I think. The first one. Oh no, this is the first one. Then Donner. I'm not getting into that. He's directed Superman films and also he directed the Goonies, and that's why I think the captain's called that. But yeah, I like the pirates. I like the lore of it in a lot of ways. I think it's fun. And what do you think of that? So there's a moment with Wim and Jude Law, where it mirrors a part with Qui-Gon. And I didn't notice that the first watch, nor did Megan. And then I
would never notice that.
No,
I wouldn't have noticed that on the second watch. Even you telling me, there's no recollection of that scene happening. So.
Yeah, and it's I didn't notice it. It was actually Math, my co-host on Clone Wars Conversations and etc. He actually pointed out, and I didn't notice it. So hats off to you, Math. Shout out. Where it says your focus determines your reality, and that's what Qui-Gon says to Anakin in Phantom Menace, and I think it's like one of the last things he says to him. And then it also happens with Jordan Wim.
Fair.
So then they had to Lanupa, which is like a resort kind of planet.
A restaurant?
Well, there are restaurants there, I imagine.
Yeah, it's like a resort.
It's a resort with mud baths and
fancy
things.
Country club resort spa.
How do you feel when Star Wars, we got it a little bit at the start with the kind of suburban life, but how do you feel when Star Wars kind of goes away from space and fanciful things?
I like being able to see the planets and how people live and stuff.
Like
it's like when we watched the holiday special the other day. It's
God, yeah.
I would like
for Patreon to listen to that.
I would like to see what the houses are like. Like I'd love to see like how like inside of like the
Wookiees' houses.
Instead of it being this like crazy modern ass kitchen.
You can see those. But they're in comics.
But like, no, so to answer your question, I like it because it's not just the same thing. It's not just space. It's not just like barren, like lands.
Or the inside of ships.
Like, it's nice being able to see a little bit more of the expanded universe.
Yeah, I agree. And like seeing different species just kind of living their life and doing stuff. Because like not everyone is a Jedi. That's one of the things I like about this, where this isn't like a galactic-wide big problem or an evildoer going around. This is just like, there's a few pirates chasing another pirate, and these kids have kind of got trapped and wrapped up in it. That's it. It's quite low stakes on a galactic scale. If these kids, something horrendous happened to all of them, the whole universe is going to be shook by it. And that's what makes it work, because then it's not like, oh, if they don't succeed, the universe is going to end. It's not, well, the universe isn't going to end, is it? But if it's just like, what's going to happen to these kids and what's going to happen to this pirate guy with them, it's like, it adds its own level of tension, because that's what I like. That's what some of the strongest Star Wars stories are, in my opinion. Like Rebels. Most of Rebels is so good because there's actual tension, because you don't know if the characters are going to survive or not. and they don't all survive. No other spoilers there. No
spoiler.
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying.
Spoiler.
There are stakes in Rebels.
Whoa.
Yes, so we like the resort and stuff, and there's a bit where Smee walks past, and he walks past the harp, and she says, the hostess says something like, are we cater to all needs here, or something like that, and he says, you can't play a shanty on no harp, which I quite like. And you've got some banking clan people there having a summit, and the banking clan immunes, and there's one point where the identity that Jod tries to take, which is Professor Umian Gorlax or something, he's from Scipio, and Scipio is the planet of the Munes, and we actually spoke about that recently in Clone Wars Conversations in the Rise of Clovis episode.
Clovis.
They were like, oh, you're from Scipio, are you? And it's very uncommon for anyone other than Immune to ever be living on Scipio from there. So that was fun. So what do you think about all that kind of stuff and going through the resort itself and like going in the room and all the stuff right before the kind of final actiony scenes?
I like it. I don't have like as much of an in-depth opinion on these things. I enjoy this episode.
You just go for the ride. You're on the for the vibes.
I'm just there for the ride.
You're on the vibe train.
I'm the vibe train. Choo choo.
Well, what do you think of the other? So we spoke about Wim. What do you think about like Fern and KB? So KB's the one with the.
I hate those things. The little glasses that she wears.
Really?
I hate them so much. They make me feel unsettled.
Because you can't see her facial expressions.
Yeah, I can't see her eyes. I don't like it.
See, I think for her, she's potentially on the spectrum, and that's the thing that helps her.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's probably the case, but I don't like it. I like being. It's like I don't like.
Masks.
I don't like it. No, masks are fine because I can see people's eyes. No, as long as they've got cuts. Like,
okay.
I was going to say sunglasses. I don't like sunglasses when people are talking to me when you don't need to be wearing sunglasses. Inside. Because it just doesn't seem. I don't trust you. If you
so you don't trust KB?
No, I do trust her.
Right.
I just don't like the visor thing that she wears.
I want to know more about her so I can see why she wears it and what it kind of does. I'd be interested to know. And what do you think about Fern, the captain kind of?
Yeah, she's fine.
Especially when she interacts with Jod, when they get through the resort and all that stuff. When she interacts with Jod and he like makes her yield and stuff. Like, how do you think
there's like a
bravado
about there, isn't there? So she's got obviously a thick skin. She puts up this front because of obviously she doesn't want to get hurt in some way, whichever way or whatever. She's obviously been hurt by something in the past, so she's got this barrier up, which is what that bravado is, so that she can always be seen as tough and strong.
Yeah.
And then you obviously see her completely break down when he's like...
That was a knife to her throat.
I will kill you.
Yeah, it's like, I will actually do it.
It's when she's like, you're a grown-up. Like, you
he's
can't...
like,
it's not fair. And he's like, well, then yield.
Yeah, and I quite like that about him, where it shows that he's not like a sadist. He's not like evil. He's like he
doesn't want to hurt them. He just wants
treasure,
money.
He's just selfish.
He's just greedy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just willing to push the boundaries of what he's willing to do. Like, I don't think he would genuinely kill a kid unless it was like absolute, like they were running at him with a shiv or something. Like, I don't think he would ever really. Like,
he wouldn't have touched her unless she tried to hit him in the head.
That's true. Yeah, she's
like he
first.
said originally, yield.
She was
like, yield, and then I won't hurt you. Like, I won't have to. But then she tried to hit him in the head.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of just like the adult, the more experienced person knowing more about certain things that they didn't even consider. They don't know what the pirate code is. They don't know anything.
No.
Like
and
that.
it's also like there was, I can't remember if it's in this episode or the previous episode, where she's like, "You're scared," and he's like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "You are," and then you see her like, break. But yeah.
What do you then? We've also got Kelly MacDonald, who popped up and played the character Pocket, who I believe is an Umbaran, much like the character Sly Moore.
I hate her eyes.
Yeah, well, Sly Moore's got the same contact lenses, eyes, as this character Pocket. And Kelly MacDonald, she played is it Merida? Merida in Brave, and she also plays Diane in Trainspotting as well, and she's also I think Carla Jean in No Country for Old Men. So she's done a lot. She's another Disney princess who's popped up in Star Wars, as well as Ming-Na Wen, who plays Fennec Shand, who is Mulan.
Or Shenik Fan.
Yes. So her character, she's like a bounty hunter thing, and you show that yet again found someone who Jod has double-crossed, and we've got a whole host of new names. And also, in addition to the name we get there's also another name, because one of the security guard guys, when they figure out who he is, says, "You're the notorious Captain Jod, also known as Jodwick Zan." So we've got Silvo, Crimson Jack, Dash Zentin, which is what she knew him as, Jod Nar Narwood, and Jodwick Zan. So we've got all those names so far, and Crimson Jack's been used in the past in Star Wars, one in Legends, one not in Legends and stuff, so that's seemingly just a name he's stolen from someone else. No one's heard of Dash Zentin. And Jodwick Zan is obviously a combination of Dash Zentin and Jodwick Nar Narwood. So lots of names. I like that. I would love to have a new name from like every episode. That would crack me up. I like that. Those little things.
Yeah, that is cool.
Then you get the gang split up. There's a chase scene and things. And then they meet Cthallops. What did you think of Cthallops?
I love him.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's my friend.
Yeah? You like his big... He's huge and he just wants to hear stories.
He just looks like
friendly.
he's a friendly guy.
Yeah.
He just looks like a friendly old man.
Giant being.
Giant being friendly old man.
I do have a sweet spot for massive, like, powerful beings who
that are friendly.
Yeah, who are friendly, or even if they're a bit gruff. Like, you got the Bendu in Rebels that Kanan and Ezra meet, and he gets
a bit sassy though.
He is pretty. He shouts at Kanan a few times, and like puts him in his place. And it's like, I don't listen to you, Kanan. It's like, you don't command me. It's like, I'm this like giant godlike being, and you're just a mortal. It's like, I like when you have beings of that power, and they do interfere with like mortal affairs, and so I really liked Cthallops. And also I think it's a connection because H.P. Lovecraft has got the Ender beings, and one of them, the most famous one, is called Cthulhu. And Cthulhu is a green tentacle-mouthed octopus being, and I think Cthallops was intentionally a reference to the Lovecraftian kind of elder beings. And I would love more like that. I love seeing these weird giant creatures, like the Purrgil. They're not quite the same, but these massive beings in Star Wars.
The Purrgil are my favourites.
Yeah, more the Purrgil I'd love to see. Hopefully the Ahsoka series too.
Yeah, bring on more Purrgil so they can bring out some Purrgil merch.
Like,
I would buy all of that stuff.
There's that one somewhere in like only in America store on Etsy or whatever, and it's not that great, and it's the only one, and it's like still new. Yeah, more giant beings in Star Wars. But loved Cthallops. That was fun. And they go into the caves, which we kind of mentioned, where you've got the booby traps, you've got the sort of the laser thing, you've got the acid, you've got the anti-grav pits, which I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
That I really like the effect of that. And it allowed us to know what happened to that guard who got shot in the chest and fell into the spikes, the fleshy
without
squelch.
seeing it.
That's what I think is clever about this.
Yeah, well, you also know because when he goes round and he looks up before like getting sucked into it, he falls into it, he sees a skeleton that's up there. So
yeah, I like that. And they find the lair. They see the hologram of Tak Renaud, which I think is cool. You don't get to see his face, so it's like, oh, is that going to be someone that we know in the future?
Well, it's distorted, isn't it? Because they're like, what's wrong with the picture?
And they even point it out exactly. So it's like they
wouldn't say it for no reason.
They're trying to make you go, oh, who is that? What is that? And I wonder if it's maybe going to be like the founder of At-Atin. Maybe his ship crashed, he left Smee there, and he just, or not founded, he just joined part of At-Atin, and it turns out like centuries ago, he was actually the great-great-grandfather of Wim or something connected like that. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because they were like, there's a reason you can't see his face, and I think there's a reason the characters couldn't, not us as the audience. So it must be someone of significance to At-Atin or something like that. Again, maybe a founder of an old school or something or whatever. But yeah, and then we've got the last sort of act in this, which is obviously once Jod hears the comm of the Captain Renaud, he turns, and once they get the At-Atin coordinates, Jod challenges Fern, which I really like it. I thought it was a really great scene, very well acted. Again, the kids are smashing it in the acting.
They are good at acting.
They're all so good, and the kid who plays Neel, like a lot of it is prosthetics, but a lot of the scenes are also enhanced by CG. But even the people who worked on the film have said that the actor who plays Neel, his body movements and stuff really bring the character to life, and it's like he's actually quite advanced for that kind of acting for his age.
Yeah.
So I'll get his name up in a sec. But what do you think about the Fern challenge and then Wim getting the lightsaber and stuff? Like, what do you think about that?
Wim getting the lightsaber, I loved. I loved that it was him messing up.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean that in like an awful way, but like it shows that he was trying to be brave, but it also just shows that he is a kid. Like he is just a kid at the end of the day. Like he's trying to big up and be brave and all of that stuff, but ultimately he is a child and he does not know what he's doing. And I think this was the point where he was like, crap. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't want an adventure anymore. I want to be at home. I want to be safe.
Yeah. And he has that realization. And once he starts, I think
his facial expressions in that scene were awesome though. The like actor's facial expressions were really good.
The nervousness when he held the saber and the apprehension.
It's after the fact, his face after the lightsaber went off, but it almost like hit him in the leg. His facial expressions were really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think the actor, so the person who plays Wim is Ravi Cabot-Conyers. Fern is Ryan Kira Armstrong. KB is Kiriana Crater. And then Neel is Oh, God, scrolling. Why is the character who plays Neel so far away? Robert Timothy Smith. That's the young man who plays Neel. So I agree with that. I think that the actor was great. I love the lightsaber part of, because when he held it, you and I both said, we were like, is he holding like the lightsaber upside down? Like, because at the end of the tubing, we were kind of like, and then it happened, and when he ignites it and the way he drops it and the way it scatters, I was like, that felt so real.
Yeah, it did.
That really felt like that was really happening. And I think, again, John Watts, who did the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy, or the Home trilogy with Tom Holland, he's the showrunner of this. And I think that he really understands that line between sort of kids and teenagers, that kind of age.
Yeah.
I think from what I've seen of his work, and I think in shots like this, it really shows that messing up is part of growing. And it just works so well. That's what the show's really trying to develop each of the characters. Makes Neel come out of his comfort zone, be less nervous about himself. Have KB be slightly less analytical and speak up a bit more because you've got lots to say. Have Fern not be as headstrong. Have Wim listen to people around him and not just only want adventure. There's more to life than that. Like, there's so many layers to it. And then the end of the episode is the kids like escape because of Wim. He grabs the thing and has that great idea, and they shoot down the wherever it goes. And Jord gets the lightsaber. And you think the lightsaber, and you picked this up before I did, you said about it maybe being like High Republic or something.
Yeah, it's too gold. It's too gold for something that we're like, normally they're silver.
Yeah.
Most of the time, or like chrome. But this is the first lightsaber that I've seen that is particularly gold, which would indicate like, I feel like it is High Republic lightsaber. Yeah,
and I think I'd be inclined to agree from what I've seen, because there's a point in the High Republic before Acolyte where they essentially kind of go to war in a way, and they.
Because also just looking at your books, right?
Yeah, these.
Like all the High Republic ones, they have gold on them.
Gold, and these are these even older than that era, but like around this sort of era towards the end of Phase 1, they do.
And it's the same kind of gold.
They do, yeah. So between phase here, this is Phase 1 and Phase 2, and then over here on YouTube is Phase 3 in black. With the Phase 3 in black, between Phase 1 and Phase 3, that's when, because Phase 2 is 100 years before either, what happens is there's a comic that shows that they start changing the way they make lightsabers. So they go, okay, you can't make them as grandiose and as ceremonial anymore, because the Jedi were mainly using them for ceremonies and then to like fend off a few thugs or disputes if they needed to in like a conflict, but they would very easily get their lightsaber out. Most people just stop attacking once a lightsaber comes out, or shoot a few blasters. You don't really need, the hilt's not in trouble of being damaged, generally. And then when they started going to war with people who were specifically going after Jedi, the Nile, then they were like, right, you need to wind back. And they're in the Jedi sort of workshops when they're making lightsabers, like, right, get rid of a lot of this stuff, get rid of this gold. We need to make them more sort of useful and less expensive, because we're going to have to keep making more of them, because Jedi are in battles and losing lightsabers a lot more. So you correctly point that out of like, that's why the older lightsabers are more gold and flashy. But I think that's pretty much everything about this episode that I can think of without looking up loads of random Easter eggs and etc. Is there anything else you want to say about this episode, or any sort of final thoughts as we wrap up?
I do not think so. I enjoyed this episode. I really liked it. It's probably one of my favourite ones.
Yeah. And a little point at the start I forgot to mention is when they had Smee all tied up and they were talking to him and stuff. And they was like, right, let's get up. And he was like, right, I'll show you the captain.
Captain.
The coordinates. And he just sits up and he goes right through the ropes. And I love big, strong, like, Smee is not stupid. He's a droid. And I really like how they use droids in Star Wars. But like, I like big, dumb, strong characters.
Yeah.
When they're like, they like when they're tied up and then they're like, okay, let's go. And they're like, what, you were tied up the whole time? You're like, oh, I didn't. I
like 33 as well, because like he has more of a personality to him. And even though like he's having to, by the end of this episode, he's got a new captain. Jod is his captain. When Jod tells him to take the kids prisoners, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, kids. Like he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Like he's developed a relationship with them at this point. It's nice.
I really like that as well. When droids when people essentially, the Empire constantly, every day or every week, they basically wipe the droids back to almost factory settings so they can never develop. But one of the reasons R2 is so kooky is because, and there's even a whole Clone Wars episode about this, where R2 never gets wiped. So from like Phantom Menace, all throughout, he's been alive in this form for like 60 years. He's a computer that has not been updated like your smartphone in 60 years. And it's gone on for so long, he develops characteristics and does things that his masters over the years have kind of made him do. And that's what's made R2. And that's one of the cool things about Smee is he was a pirate. So his programming would be changed, whether or not physically changing his programming.
Well, it's like when he was on Lapuna, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Lapuna, yeah. Sorry, Lanupa. Very close. Very close. Lanupa.
When he was on Lanupa and he was just like disgusted by the fact that it had changed and it was now like a pleasure resort. And...
So this is going to be Skeleton Rock.
Yeah. He's like, where's the acid?
This is where we used to dissolve the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, love Smee. Love the characters in this. They're all really well written, very well acted and directed. And the show does. There's one episode that felt a bit volumey, like a bit like CGI-y, but I feel like since then these episodes have felt very lived in. They felt very real. So I'm excited to see where this goes. It's a really easygoing show, and it's not one that I feel like I have to watch the moment it comes out necessarily in a sense of spoilers, but it's one that I'm just happy to chuck on because it's quite easygoing in a good way. But that said, I'm very excited about Andor next year. But thank you so much, Megan, for coming on the show. I appreciate you filling in this Christmas season. And of course, friends, you can find me at Genuine Chit-Chat on all the social media places. There's clips and photos, and I often post on Instagram. We've been doing a lot of Lego recently, so I'm posting that on my Instagram stories of what we've been doing. And make sure you check out some of the other Star Wars content I've done. I've recently interviewed Charles Saul and Ryan Brown about the indie comic Lucky Devils 1, which comes out in January, I think, on the 8th, by Image Comics, so make sure you tune into that. And tune into the many other things in the description. We've done stuff with Spider-Dan, The Secret Boards, with Spencer. I've done stuff on Back to the Filmography. I popped up on the VHS Strikes Back. Loads of stuff in the guest spots. Loads of Star Wars content. Loads of other things. And the best way you can help out the show is by liking wherever you're watching, subscribing, sharing, and reviewing, and leaving comments. All that great stuff. But friends, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you. And, of course, may the Force be with you.
Bye. I don't know what you want me to do. It's not that I wasn't excited. Sorry, I got distracted because there was a weird noise in the background.
Is it a ghost? Is it a ghost in the machine?
Can you not hear that?
What, the noise of the fan of my laptop?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I've never heard it do that before.
Oh, it just does it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's
because when you said that you couldn't hear it, I was like, am I going crazy?
No, that's gonna go in the bloopers. Right there. What's that noise? It's the fan of the laptop. The spooky fan.
Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat.
Got a frog in your throat. That was the longest. Well,
I needed a drink.
You certainly did. Are you ready to go again?
What was your question?
Jude Law. How unprofessional, Megan.
Sorry, my phone vibrated.
How unprofessional.
You have just experienced host, creator, everything elser of Genuine Chit-Chat, and also the host and creator of Star Wars Comics in Canon, found on the Comics in Motion podcast, Mike Burton.